Hey, Inanime here, and Wonder Egg Priority's latest episode, Episode 5, The Girl Flautist, presents one very important topic to talk about, the theory of Mr. Sawaki. So, pull up a chair and let's discuss.
Their power to overwhelm and destroy. The world's most shocking monster.
Wonder Egg Priority's fifth episode introduces us to Neru's egg world and gives us a little bit of background about her character. The main detail being that she was viciously stabbed by her sister before her ultimate suicide. However, I think the main focus of the episode should be the roundtable discussion that the girls have. We have already learned why Rika's quote-unquote friend killed herself, and learned why Momo's friend killed herself as well, which leaves Neru's and Ai's a mystery. The focus of the discussion becomes Ai's friend, Koito, as to why she committed suicide, and the theory is presented by Rika, that Koito was pregnant by Mr. Sawaki, who just so happens to be Momo's uncle. Now, as far-fetched as that seems, especially coming from Rika, there does seem to be some evidence to back up her proposal. Mr. Sawaki visits Ai's household very often, almost every day in fact, and this viewer wonders why. He could be a very dedicated teacher and counselor, but he could also have more sinister motives. One reason he could be visiting so often is to keep an eye on Ai, because she may have witnessed something. As we have seen in flashbacks, I saw Koito with Mr. Sawaki fairly often, once giggling while he was painting her portrait, and then again crying in his arms, of which we don't know why she was so distraught that time. And speaking of the painting, we learned that he was also having one-on-one sessions with Ai as well. She didn't feel as comfortable doing them because of her self-consciousness, but Koito brings up that Ai should stop doing them if she doesn't want to, because it could ruin Mr. Sawaki's future career as a painter. I think Koito's concern for Mr. Sawaki's future and her knowledge of his career plans is very indicative of a relationship, where he's revealing a lot about his personal life that he probably shouldn't be. Now, from a directorial standpoint, there is a moment in the episode where Mr. Sawaki looks at Ai's door with a very serious face, as if he is pondering what might be going on in the room. I think this is important because from watching the previous episodes, a lot of what we see is very symbolic and thought-provoking, and I don't think this couple of seconds worth of scene should be disregarded. Now, getting back to Rika's theory, the pregnancy of Koito isn't far-fetched because the suicide victims have a theme connected to each character. For example, Rika is trying to save an obsessed fan who ended up starving herself because of Rika's cruel words. Then, we meet the twins from Rika's Wonder Egg who are also obsessed with a pop idol and killed themselves because he killed himself. The theme here being the power and influence pop idols have on their obsessed fan bases. Ai's theme is a failure to speak out when you see injustice occurring. Ai's Wonder Egg girls were both bullied, the first one by a cruel administrator and the second by her coach. Now this is very important because we do know that Ai failed to speak up about Koito's bullying by fellow classmates. But if the trend is to be followed, the first two Wonder Egg girls were bullied by authority figures, and that could mean that Koito was in a way bullied by Mr. Sawaki, in a way that we haven't been told yet. But if she was pregnant, one, that is of course the source of bullying for any young schoolgirl, and two, he could have been bullying her in the sense that he wanted her to go and get an abortion. Now, another thing to keep an eye out for is Momo. Momo was very reactive to the accusations that Rika was making about Koito having a relationship with Momo's uncle and whatnot. This is understandable because nobody wants to hear their family member's name being dragged under the bus or through the mud. However, we can't overlook the theme of Momo's Wonder Eggs, sexual abuse. The girls she fights for have been sexually abused in one way or another, and I think it is too much of a coincidence that Momo is related to the accused sexual abuser in Mr. Sawaki. This would definitely explain his wonderment and possible concern about Momo and Ai meeting each other and becoming friends. Could Momo reveal something incriminating about him to Ai and the girls? Maybe there's a darker explanation as to why she decides to hide her beauty and femininity behind a more masculine appearance. We'll have to wait and see. But, while not as action-packed as the previous 4 episodes, Episode 5 gave us a lot to ponder. Not only has it given us a reason to keep an eye out for Mr. Sawaki, but later on in the episode, We're also introduced to the philosophical question of whether it is right to save the girls who have committed suicide. Do they want to be saved? Again, that's proposed by Rika. And that's a question that's too deep to get involved with in this video. So, in the meantime, what do you think about my theory on Mr. Sawaki, and what are your theories? Also, do you think the girls truly want to be saved? Let me know in the comments below, and please like and subscribe. I'm an anime, and I'm out. Anime.